We've lived in Miami for a little over 20 years now, and I can tell you that Miami definitely has some pros and also cons. As with any other large city, there's always something that you need to think about. Well, not just something, some things you need to think about before relocating to a city like Miami. Today, I'm going to talk to you about living in Miami, pros and cons, and I'm going to get started now. Hey everyone, my name's Jamey Prezzi. I'm a real estate agent in Miami-Dade and Broward counties. I work with my husband, Ognjen Prezzi, and our team. Today, I'm going to talk to you about living in Miami, pros and cons, and just some things that you need to think about before making the big move here and also buying real estate in our city. There's a lot to know. But first, before I get started, if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another update. We do put out new videos every week. Also, use the link in our information box and download our free relocation guide. That guide page is super long. I just updated it, so I think you'll find it super helpful. Also, in the description box, you can find all of our contact information. One of the best things about living in Miami is that it's a very international city. We also have the Miami International Airport, which is a hub to a lot of large international airlines and also American Airlines. So you can be in a lot of places all over the United States fairly quickly from this airport. And also internationally, there are a lot of really good connections from Miami International Airport to a lot of other international cities in South America and also Europe. So that's really awesome. There are a lot of people who like to live in this area because they need that eastern side connection, maybe to connect back and forth to New York, or maybe over to Texas, or maybe to South America or Europe. So the location of Miami makes it a very international hub just because it's strategically located on the eastern seaboard and because of the Miami International Airport. And don't discount Fort Lauderdale International Airport because that airport also has a lot of really good connections. We use it a lot to go into the Carolinas. There are a lot of airlines that fly right into the Carolinas from Fort Lauderdale without having to travel into some other connecting city in the United States. And they also have international flights as well. Next, opportunity. I think that Miami is just one of those places that really caters to people who are entrepreneurs, and it is a very business-friendly environment. Also, Florida, it has no state income tax, which makes it very appealing to people. And business-wise, they make a lot of incentives to bring new business into our city. So opportunities and growing businesses is a very good reason why you may want to consider living in Miami. One of the most exciting events that has recently happened is Inter Miami signing of soccer legend Lionel Messi. This was a very high profile move, and it really showcased Miami's ability to attract top talent, not only in sports, but also in entertainment. And as a result, the city is rapidly gaining recognition as an international beacon for attracting skilled individuals across different industries. Another pro about living in Miami is we have beautiful weather. Now, right now we're in the middle of the summer, which will obviously date this video, but it's hot and it's rainy and it's humid. But after we get out of the summer and head into the fall and the winter for the next several months, it is beautiful here. That's why a lot of people come here in the wintertime, which is our high season, although I don't think we really have a high season anymore. I think it's busy here all throughout the year. But the busiest times in Miami and the best weather is in the winter, which is awesome. We have incredible beaches, and the weather, although it is a little bit humid, it's very good for your skin. So that's another pro. What's really interesting about living here is you really do get acclimated to the weather after you've lived here for a while and you go somewhere where it's kind of dry and cold. You're going to want to come back home to Miami very soon. So our beautiful weather is definitely a pro, and that's why a lot of people love living here. Next, the beach life. If you like living on the beach, we have a lot of beaches around us. Obviously, we have Miami Beach and Fort Lauderdale Beach. And then another really great thing is that you can be to Naples in about an hour and a half, and some other incredible beaches like Marco Island, or maybe some beach up in Sarasota, which is actually one of my favorite beaches. But you can be to a lot of beach destinations from Miami and actually in Miami very, very fast. So if you like a beach lifestyle and you like to enjoy surfing or just laying out in the sun or enjoying just the ocean or even the Gulf Coast, Miami is a great location in which to live because you have a lot of opportunities to enjoy the beach lifestyle. Something for everyone. One of the best things about living in Miami is it really offers something for everyone. There are many different price points throughout our city, especially if you're really planning on buying maybe a condominium or a single family home. First, you have a lot of options in what type of real estate you can buy. If you need to be more at an entry-level pricing, you can get a condominium. Maybe you want a mix of a condominium or a single family home, so you'll consider maybe a townhome, or you just want to buy a single family home. There are many different pricing options throughout our city, and there are many different buying opportunities. So I definitely think that Miami offers something for everyone in terms of living here and the real estate in which you may want to consider buying. Okay, so I covered some pros for you. Now let's talk about some cons. Obviously, if you have this, you have to have this, right? So let's talk about the cons. One of the biggest cons about living in Miami is the traffic. As with any large city, you know, traffic is an issue. There's so many people who are moving here. There's so many people who live in one area and have to drive into another area. So I think if traffic is a big thing for you, you need to be very, very strategic in where you choose to live. Because if you're not a traffic person and you're, for example, in Miami-Dade and you have to go into Broward every day, you need to know that you're going to be facing a bit of traffic depending on what time of day you need to travel to get back and forth to what you have to do every day. Now, the good news is if you can be strategic and kind of make your activities and live and work in a very tight area, you can avoid some of those traffic issues. But if you are really kind of spread out throughout the county or counties between Miami-Dade and Broward, you will definitely face some traffic living in our city. Heat and humidity. Now, we live in the tropics, so with all of that beautiful weather, we do also have to endure heat and humidity. And sometimes we have really heavy rainy seasons. This year we've had a lot of rain. And so that just comes with the nature of where we live. But then when the weather is really nice and it's snowing everywhere else, we don't have to deal with that. So heat and humidity is definitely a con if you're not a fan of that. I actually love the humidity. Now when I travel somewhere else and it's really dry, it really bothers me. So, you know, I think it's just all relative to sort of your body and what you can endure. But the heat and humidity can be a bit much here sometimes. So I always tell people whenever you park somewhere in our city, you need to always look around and make sure you're not parking in an area where you may get towed. Because if you are not parking in the right place, or if you're not paying for parking, you definitely run the risk of getting a ticket, and the worst case scenario, getting booted or towed, which is more than annoying. I think that happens a lot more on Miami Beach, especially South Beach. You have to be really, really careful. But even if you're buying real estate here and you have a car, you have to be really careful about the parking, because if you park in someone's spot and it's not your spot, you also run that risk of getting booted or towed. So parking here can be a bit annoying. I would just always assume that wherever you park, you may need to pay for it, or you need to make sure you have permission to park in that area, because otherwise you're going to have a very long day once you come back and your car's not there, or you have a big fat ticket. The other thing about parking is if you are buying real estate or even renting real estate and you need a parking space, you need to make sure that that property actually comes with a parking space that goes along with that unit. Parking is a thing here. There's different types of parking. Sometimes it's valet HOA, sometimes it's assigned, and sometimes it's deeded. We go over all of this information at a buyer consultation. So just know that parking is a thing, and if you have more than one car, you're going to probably need to figure out what to do with the second car. Unless you're buying a single family home, that's another story, because you'll probably have a driveway where you can park the cars. But for buying in a condominium or a townhome or somewhere around the city, you have to be really, really specific about what you expect and what you need for parking, so that you make sure that you buy into the right place and you're getting what you need to park those cars. Another con about living in our city, and this is now, it wasn't always the case, but over the last several years, the cost of living has definitely gone up. We are almost right in line with a lot of other large cities in the United States. In the past, we could always say that it was more affordable than the other large cities, but the pricing in Miami has definitely gone up for rents and for real estate, like regular buying and selling condominiums, townhomes, single family homes. The cost of living here has definitely gone up. Other things with cost of living, eating out has definitely gone up over the last several years, and just the nature of living and your day-to-day expenses, they've gone up living in Miami. So that's definitely a con. No one wants to pay more money, but all the other pros above, you know, that's what it is. So the cost of living has definitely gone up here. And one last con about living in Miami is not a quiet city. People here like to enjoy life. And if you are living in the city, you're sharing walls and floors and ceilings with other people. So that can be a bit tedious for some people. The traffic can be loud because people here like to honk their horns a lot. It's super annoying, but they do. And overall, just the lifestyle here and the living here is, I would say, loud. You hear people here all times of the night. Miami is not a quiet city. People like to stay up late and they like to enjoy life. So you have to be very careful about where you choose to live, especially if you're living in a condominium, because you know, you may not want to hear your neighbors all the time. Maybe it makes more sense for you to live out in the suburban areas where things are expected to be a little bit quieter. The good news is, one of the pros is most cities, they do have noise ordinances. So there is kind of a quiet enjoyment of life expectation after a certain time. But it's also important to know that we are a city, and realistically, when you have hundreds of people living in a building, you are going to experience some noise. Not only that, people are always renovating these properties. The buildings always are undergoing renovations. Neighbors are always updating properties. So there's just a lot going on. There's a lot of movement in our city, and that adds definitely a noise factor to the living here. When some of my family comes here from the Carolinas, they're a little bit shocked about the noise that we experience. We're used to it, but that is something here. Also, a lot of areas throughout Miami-Dade are very close to the airport, so you can hear airplanes going all the time, helicopters going all the time, sirens, police sirens. I mean, it's a city. It's busy and it can be loud at times. All right, I hope that this video was helpful for you about living in Miami, some pros and cons. There's always a give and take in every city, but those are some of the top things that I hear people complain about and then also brag about living in our city. I hope you found this video helpful. My name's Jamey Prezzi. This is my husband, Ognjen Prezzi. You can find us online on Instagram at the Prezzis, and we will see you soon.